What's up, party people? It's your host, Sunny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. Thanks to our sponsors, Raz Rocket, your fundraise on autopilot. Today, I'm joined by Asad Tirmizi. Asad, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Sunny?
I'm doing well. Um, you are the founder and CEO of Trener Robotics. I was reading about you guys earlier today, and it's quite remarkable. Do you want to maybe give people like your, I don't know, one-liner elevator pitch on what the company does, and then we can maybe pause on that and come back to it later on in the show. But would love to give people a bit of a understanding of where we're going.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. In one line, what we do is that we create pre trained AI skill models for robots. So, you have industrial robots today, and you have to go and program what they have to do in the industry and manufacturing and services. What we provide is a pre trained skill model that basically gives the robot the ability to know what it is doing, how it is done, and what to do if something goes wrong.
Interesting. So I'm excited to dig into that. But let's start off with, I guess, kind of your backstory aside. So you studied at Air University, is that correct?
So I have a pretty long history. I did my let's say affair with robotics started during my masters. At that point, I was in Sweden. Then afterwards, I did my PhD. That was in Italy. Then I had a tenure and a postdoc in Belgium, and then I came to Silicon Valley, where I was working for a company called Vicarious, which was later on acquired by Google. And my last stint was at ByteDance. So it's almost like 14 years that I just told you over here. And all those 14 years were spent on researching on exactly this topic, which was how do you combine learning with sensor based control, which is a fancy way of saying that the robot feels the environment and then reacts to what it is feeling or seeing. So combining this learning or AI with robotic motions, this has been my life's work.
Cool. So I want to go back to the story, but I have a question for you. So since the Chat GPT moment, has things changed for you in the sense that, like, did it open a door where you thought, hey, maybe I can solve some of these, like, because everyone had this like aha moment, right? I'm just curious, or did that come for you, much sooner? Like, when did you recognize that the kind of the tech that's behind a lot of these LLMs could be applied to robotics?
So in robotics, there is no chat GPT movement and there will never be a chat GPT movement. It is
Interesting.
like, think about it this way, that if chat GPT was invented in 1974,
Uh-huh.
what would be the chat GPT movement? Because the number of robots in the world were limited to what, like 400,000, 500,000 in 1974. So even though you will have a fundamental groundbreaking technology that can open a lot of doors for you, the amount of people where this impact could reach was just very limited because the enabler or the tool on which this tool can run didn't exist. So regarding our journey, uh, the story goes something like this, that like until the 2010s 2011s, if you would take robots and you would go back 30 or 40 years, I mean, nothing had changed in robotics. We would come in, we will procedurally program what we want robot to do repeatedly without having any idea about what it is doing, and that's what the robot will repeat. And if something goes wrong, the robot will just fail. That was the state of robotics until the 2010s. And that is when my co-founder Lars, we were starting our PhDs, and we came up across this paradigm that, like, hey, robots should do more. Robots must do more because the way the world's demographic is changing, the way the world's labor requirements is changing, we cannot have automation without intelligence, because then we will always be slave to our labor needs. So that is where this idea of how do you learn from human actions, robot actions, in a way that robot can be put in a unknown situation and the robot can basically know what to do and can complete that task with intelligence. So coming back to your question, uh, what ChatGPT did for us was this: that if the price is big enough, the world is willing to invest the money in compute, in data, in storage architectures, so that we can get bigger, better things, So fundamentally, the architecture of robotics is extremely difficult, different, and difficult than the architecture of an LLM, for example. So just for basics, what we have to make a model out of is not just language, but it is vision, language, haptics, actions that then have to go into a control head, which can output the actions for the robots very fast. So it's a much more complex architecture than a LLM.
So again, I have a bunch of questions lined up, but I'm just so fascinated and curious. Can you talk a little bit more about what you're working on at your company and what you guys are building?
Right. So again, to make it like simple to understand, just think about it this way: there are around 500,000 robots, around 5 million robots in the world today. That basically anything that you see around you, there is a robot that has helped in its manufacturing in that supply chain. So they have already a profound effect on us. But if you look at all these robots that are deployed and all the robots that are coming, uh, every single one of them have been hand programmed by somebody who sits there, thinks about what the robot has to do, and then writes a program for it. The big idea that we have been working on for the last 14 years is this: that you can just come in and declare to the robot what is it that you want it to do. It can be, hey, do machine tending for me. It can be pack packages for me. It could be peel oranges for me. So whatever that task is, without any having any competence in robotics, you can declare this to the robot, and the robot will be able to do this. And this ability to do the task, we call it pre-trained skill models. So essentially, we make software for robots that has these pre-trained skill models that we provide to the end users or system integrators, who then deploy it to get better production.
Are you guys working with humanoids at all, given all the excitement around it, or is this something parallel to that?
So when we say robots include robotic arms, it includes robotic mobile bases, it includes humanoids. But the reality is that the path that we have chosen, in which we deploy these models, we gather the data, which improves these models, and then we make further models out of the diversity of the data that we have. It is very important for us that we deploy on robots that, number one, have a real demand and have a real user base. So all of the deployments that we have done today are on robotic arms. All of our big contracts, all of our OEM partnerships, they are with robotic arm manufacturers. But as humanoids mature more, the same technology or the same models, they can work on humanoids as well. But so far, we have not done any work over there.
You worked at ByteDance, if I'm not mistaken, on robotics and haptics. Are you allowed to speak about what you were building there or hint at it?
So that was a while ago. That was before I started working or started the company. But ByteDance, as you know, is the parent company of TikTok. So once you have such a superstar product like TikTok that is bringing billions of dollars every year, so the natural instinct for any such big company is to expand their footprint into other promising areas as well. So yes, they had a very active haptics and robotics program. They have a very nice data model that they have also put out. And the reason that they have all these endeavors is because one of the companies of ByteDance is called Pico, which is a virtual reality, extended reality headset company. And these headsets have a role to play in robot training. So yeah, so that there was an active research program there, and I was very honored to be a part of it, and I still remain on very good terms with them.
Awesome. What a cool story. Hey, Asad, have you ever heard of a company called Quanzer by any chance?
No,
No.
I
Yeah,
haven't.
well, maybe I'll save it for another one. But hey, I was gonna say you published annual robotics predictions since 2018, tracking them, year over year. Have you found yourself maybe going back and saying, okay, I need to change the way I'm thinking about certain things? Just curious on that front.
Uh, I think like when it comes to robotics, the patterns and the reports that we are saying have stayed pretty consistent. Like year over year, there has always been an increase. The capabilities and artificial intelligence that are now coming online. So the trend will like we feel in robotics community that we are on the verge of a hockey stick growth in the number of robots. And whenever there is an exponential growth, there is a lot of money to be made by a lot of stakeholders. So we are lucky to be having such a pivotal role over here. But in short, like I've never really like dove into these robots and these numbers to like find any hidden patterns over there.
Interesting. So you've essentially described a key insight that no matter how much that you model the world, robots will encounter essentially unknown situations. So was there a specific moment where that lesson really hit home?
Absolutely. I think like that's the I think the biggest how would I like that's one of those like daily satisfactory movement that we encounter with our work because when the robot is working and everything is normal, I mean then basically that's business as usual. But when the robot encounters a situation that it has never seen before, and then it is able to use its intelligence to get out of the situation, I think it's always a very heartening moment for not just for me but for everybody involved in this endeavor. And there are multiple such stories where a part that was smothered in machine oil was picked up, and then the robot was able to like detect that it's slipping and was able to like take evasive action, or some uh, collision was avoided, or some obstacle that was not visible that was seen. Or more importantly, when the humans who are working with these robots, they were about to make a mistake, and the robot was able to use its understanding of the situation to guide them to a better way to do this task. So I think that's one of the power of our work, and I really feel very good about it every time that happens.
Very cool. So you guys recently announced a $32 million Series A and rebranded your company from T Robotics to Trener Robotics. What does Trener mean?
Yeah, so uh, the basis of this company was always about training robots. So me and my co-founder is of Norwegian origin. So in Norwegian, trainer means to coach or to train, somebody who trains you. So I thought like this T robotics. Becoming Trener Robotics, that's like very aptly suits what we are doing. And it was about time that our name reflects our larger ambitions. So that's why we rebranded. And this is also true that we raised the $32 million Series A, which will be helping us grow our footprint, develop the technology more, uh, train more skills. So we're very excited about what's ahead of us.
Very cool. Very cool. So I brought up, humanoid robots, but I guess instead of building new humanoid robots, you're making 4.3 million robot arms already in factory smarter. Why is that a bigger opportunity?
It's a much bigger opportunity because, in my opinion, humanoids, while promising, they have a long way to go before they become into a technology that can effectively and safely work alongside humans. I see that there is a path towards that, but that path is riddled with a lot of like compliance, privacy, safety challenges. So I personally think it's a very long time required for humanoids to become effective co-workers. However, intelligence for robots and humanoids are two completely separate things. You can have a robotic arm that is the most intelligent robotic arm for doing, let's say, machining. And you do not need a humanoid to make that intelligence go to work. So, for us as a company, the embodiment of the robot is not important at all. We are a software company focused on creating intelligent models, taking the useful work that they have to do, that is the skills, into account. So we pre train models for skills. And then if these skills end up on robotic arms or humanoids or any other embodiment, we are agnostic out of that.
When you
Now,
say skill, oh, sorry, Asad, I didn't mean to interrupt. Continue, continue.
yeah, so just last part is this, that the embodiment, in my opinion, you will never have a standard one humanoid or one robot that does everything in any situation. I mean, just think about it. If a humanoid has to pick a 50 kg stone and put it into a quarry, well, the type of motors that you need to carry 50 kgs is very different from a robot that is supposed to, I don't know, pack needles. And it's a completely different price point. So I really believe this, that we will have many different embodiments in the next 20 years, and the company that can bring intelligence to all these embodiments will be in a great shape. And right now, the only embodiment that has a big market is the robotic arms. So that's why you see all our models are currently deployed there.
So Asad, you won the ABB AI Startup Challenge and the
That's right.
Machine Tool Innovation Award. I'm just wondering, how are partnerships with major players shaping your go-to market?
Uh, it's one of the most important pillar of our go-to-market approach, because we made the models, and now, of course, we can deploy the models to, I don't know, hundreds of customers maybe in California. Uh, but if you really and truly want scale, then you need to partner with OEMs. You need to partner with system integrators that are either producing in case of OEMs or deploying in case of big system integrators at a very large scale. So, in short, they have been fantastic partners. We bring our knowledge of how AI and robotics work. They bring the knowledge of robotic hardware, traditional software, distribution of software. So I'm really enjoying, and I'm very proud of like working with these excellent partners.
Very cool. So if you fast forward 5 years, what does a factory running on Trener Robotics look like compared to one today?
So the biggest thing that you will feel different is that the robots, they have much more robustness. The productivity is improved by not just a small factor, by a huge factor. And the biggest thing that we will bring is this, that today when you walk into a car factory, you almost always assume that there will be robots over there. But you don't assume that when you're going to a normal machine shop or you're going to a bicycle shop or smaller operations, because smaller operations, we just consider that they should just hire blue collar workers and scale their operation with just human labor. And this is something that you will change, that there will be much more robots in much more places doing much more things than what robots do today.
Cool. So you spent, I guess, over a decade in research before starting the company. What advice would you give to deep tech founders wondering when to make the leap?
I think when to make the leap is a very deep personal calling, and also a very big function of your circumstances about how big is your pain tolerance. Because when you are in research, things just keep on moving. uh, Once you take this plunge, then the clock is ticking before you run out of either funds or energy. So I think like the mental preparation, that is the number one thing if you want to take that plunge. The biggest advice, piece of advice I have for them, and I don't know if I qualify to give any advice, so I just say that these are my 2 cents and for whatever they are worth. And it is this, that when I spent a decade in research, the direction was always decided by what I felt or what my professor felt was the solution to a problem. And many a times you end up creating solutions that are either not needed or do not move the needle in any meaningful way. They do get you publications, they do get you research funding, but if you actually look at the impact, there is very little that moves. I personally believe the best way to innovate is to work very closely with stakeholders, which are in our case customers. And I think the best measure of whether something is useful or not is when somebody is willing to pay for it. And as a startup or as companies are able to innovate more because they will have a very good pulse on what pays you and what doesn't pay you. So you get this correction very fast. Um, Otherwise, you end up like researching on things that can end up in like these dead ends, don't move the needle, and the field basically stays where it is.
Very interesting. Cool. Aside, where do people learn more about you, about the company, and if they want to, double click on the opportunity?
Yeah, no, thanks so much. So if you want to learn more about us, our website, trener.ai, that is trener.ai, that is the best place to go. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, so I would welcome anybody who would like to connect with me over there. And then also you can reach out to me via my email or any other form. So yeah, I would welcome any interaction that comes out of this podcast or any viewer who is watching.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Asad, for your time. And maybe just hang out for a minute. I'll bring this stream to an end. Thank you all for checking in, and until next time.